This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, John. How about you?
It's not too bad. What do you got on tap for us tonight?
On tap is a pretty good way to describe things because we're talking about moonshine
Awesome.
today.
That you mean the illegal liquor thing?
Yes, both the illegal liquor thing and the actual shine of the moon, because this is not just about bootleggers. It's about werewolves as well, because this is a title is a both a pun and an actual description of what the series is about, because it's coming from the creative team of Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso. Now, longtime readers and listeners will know that I think these guys are a really good team together, and they've turned out some really good comics together as well. Most specifically, 100 Bullets, story about that is on one hand it's about what happens when ordinary people get a chance to extract vengeance upon the people that that have done wrong upon them, but it's also about just like the story. It's also a story about like America and its origins. But they've also done like other series together as well, like including a stint on it's like on Batman. It's like and oh what it's like what else? Oh, and Spaceman, their science fiction series through Vertigo as well. But it's like whenever you see like Azrael and Risso together, you think that hey, this is gonna be like comics gold and all. But that's not quite the case because their story, um, their Batman story, was was interesting, but maybe not kind of the instant classic we were expecting. And Spaceman suffered from the fact that well, it's like Azarello, it's like he's had a, 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 a feeling about a particular feeling about vernacular. Yeah, so he's like about how it sounds and how it's meant to play out, and it's like when like in reading this, you just read this and think like, oh wow, it's like he's trying to like, tell you how like future slang is going to sound, and it's just kind of like more annoying than ingratiating. So much as much as I like the idea of like a new um like Azzarello Risso like series together, I have to realize that maybe it's not quite as good as I'd say as a team up from say Kieran Gillen and Jimmy McKelvey or Garth Ennis or even like and late Steve Dillon or the current Goran Parlov. So it's like so when it's like with when it comes to like Moonshine and you tell me that their team that Azzarello and Russo are teaming up together again, it's like well yeah I'm gonna want to read it, but at the same time maybe it's not quite like the home run that I was expecting. And also, it's like I'm speaking with you know, like the knowledge of like past, like of past of current knowledge speaking against the future here because Moonshine, like well, it's both a Cyrus is both a it's both a pun and a description of what the series is because it's about it's about like a group of bootleggers who have made some hooch in the year of our Lord 1929 that is so great that it's attracted the attention of some mobsters in New York, specifically like Joe Masseria, who basically figures like, hey, I this is like this hooch they've got is like the future of of illegal booze in our day. So I'm going to send my man, handsome Joe Perlo, down to Virginia to shake things out. And that's basically the first volume. So it's all about handsome Lou going trying to broker a deal between the bootleggers, headed by the patriarch um Hiram Holt to like just as they set up a this bootlegging deal. But the thing is like Holt figures like he's got his like his deal is like in terms of like selling hooch is like is pretty swell as it is and all, and he doesn't want to like really want to deal with these like mobsters or these uppity types from New York. Now, Lou is kind of caught in between, this sentiment and the feeling of his boss. So, and this is why he probably spends most of the time just getting completely blasted on the all the hooch available to him that is provided by the it's like the whole kids, some of whom actually want to make a strike a deal with him with Massaceria via Perlo, and also others who just like want to just stake out their own claim to this bootlegging business. Well, the first volume is the first one is kind of it's kind of all right for the most part in terms of setting up all the major players like Perlo, Holt, also like Holt's adopted children, Tempest, who wants out of this backwater burg more than anything else, and her it's like her brother Enos, who is it's like enthralled to Holt in his in his demands, but also the fact that it's like Perlo is just just at the it's just dealing with also these demands like what his boss wants, what the people he's trying to negotiate want, and also the the African Americans who one of whom he falls in love with, Delia, what she wants as well. So he's just dealing with all these demands of all these masters, and this first volume is just kind of it's it's more surface appeal than anything else. Just the idea that it's showing you the story of a man who is enthralled to many masters, and what does he do in order to get away from them. It's it's like if you've been paying attention so far, hey, there's the what the monsters demand, what the hillbillies demand, and there's also what the curse that some of these people are enthralled to demand. Because Moonshine, we're not talking about the booze, we're talking about werewolves as well. So it's because this is all about werewolves, and booze, and all the bad things that come when when people get in between them. And as far as the series goes, it's not bad really. It's I kind of expressed my sentiments in the first volume that hey, if Azzarello and Risso decided hey, the series isn't working, then just go ahead and call them all again, just decide another series about what's going to turn out when when they talk about the stuff that interests them. But they didn't. In fact, they stuck through this series for 28 whole issues and 5 volumes. And the thing is, this series, it's more of a entertaining surface than anything else, because after the first volume, when Lou gets turned into a werewolf, big surprise and all, because it's called Moonshine, it's about werewolves. Well, it's he gets he also has to deal with the with who capture him, and then turn him into a chain gang as well. It's and there's and there's some fun stuff as well. It's showing how Lou has to deal with the the people who resent him on this chain gang, but also just what happens when he has to deal with dealing with a snake bite, a poisonous snake bite by Copperhead when he grabs a snake when he's sent out to grab a dead guy, and also just when he comes back to life as a result of that, because hey, he's an undying werewolf and all. And then, and he's also able to use this in order to get a drink for a member of his chain gang who is just unable to work on the on the same level that he is. It's fun seeing how he deals with this, but at the same time, it's when the full moon comes out, then Lou is just kind of at the mercy of just what the what what he has to do when the moon comes out, and people die and all. like that kind of thing. And that's kind of how the series goes. It's like Lou is just like he's like a lobster who just like is has to deal with what the um it's like what the whims of the moon have to offer him. But at the same time, there's not really a lot of like a specific world building in terms of what these like what the rules of the werewolf lore are here. I mean, yeah, we get the idea like, hey, yeah, when the full moon comes out, yeah, Lou has to turn to a werewolf. We get that, and there's also like bits later on when he finds out that he's vulnerable to a silver bullet and all because he kind of lets that slip as well as it turns out. But in terms of like storytelling and world building, like Moonshine just kind of exists on a surface level. Just the idea that hey, like, if you want to see an entertaining like late 1920s like Changing story, then hey, Volume Two has you covered. When if you want to see like how this like era like interacts with the like with voodoo like with voodoo and African American like a magic stuff, then hey, Volume Three, Rue de Jura, has you covered as well. In fact, Rue de Jura also has probably the best example of the surface appeal of the series. This is when like Lou like when he's made it to like New Orleans, like, and he's able to like hook up with his girl Delia, like, but he also has to like get some money as well, and we see like a couple pages like of him just like getting working over some gamblers in the back alleys, but also then like earning enough money to it's like to like make him presentable in the like in the high roller gamblers of the area as well. Like it's not presented in a it's like in a logical way, but it's presented in a very generally stylistic way, as we're told that like Lou just has to make like these gamblers like enjoy losing their money, and it's a sequence where you get what's going on. It's like and it's like it plays out like pretty well, even to the point where like he um like nice with Delia's quasi ex boyfriend John Baptiste, who also has his own ideas of what he wants to do with this guy who is also a werewolf. And it's again that's kind of like Volume Three, it's just dealing with like like the like like the voodoo versus like like werewolf stuff like in the it's like in the story as well. And then Volume Five deals with it's like what is it the with the angels share. It's like with also like has Azzarello like decompressing like digressing to Elliot Ness's ill-fated like hunt for the torso killer, which on one hand is very it's still in a very like simplistic way, like in terms of, like after Lou like finds himself like a member of the um was it the homeless camps like on the on the Cleveland shores, and it's like him and like he's just kind of just trying to figure out what does he want to do, how does he want to manage his his werewolf curse in this like in the storyline, but also there's Tempest, who is the adopted adopted daughter of Hiram Holt, the bootlegger, and she's just been wanting to like, get out of the Appalachian um hole that she's been in like for all these years, and it's like in Volume Four, she kind of shows you how she finally manages to do that by hooking up with Lou's former boss, Joe Masseria, and like she just kind of wants to first she wants to kill him because she's the guy who killed her. He's the guy who killed her adopted father. But then when he realizes that hey, he can like that Joe can get Tempest like a big singing gig like on Broadway, well she's less inclined to like to do that as well. But all this stuff comes like is just becomes part of the. It's like part of the main part of the story, part of the plot when we get to the final volume, the well, because the angel share basically. If you're not familiar with like the story of like Elliot Ness and his hunt for the torso killer, I recommend Bendis and Mark Andreyko's graphic novel Torso, because that's a much more engrossing, it's like a compelling take on the hunt for the torso killer. Even though this story involves involves actual werewolves and a guy named No Balls Tony, because he's got no balls. But so, but basically what I want to say is like everything involving Moonshine up to this point, like his especially, it's all about a surface. You know, it's all about style. It's like just looking cool, and just like involving like sequences that just play play nice on the surface level rather than offering like any actual depth to them in terms of like actual storytelling, long term plotting, or even world building. Because in terms of like a series is basically like the traits on werewolves, well, it basically relies a lot on just what you know about them, the general knowledge of werewolves. Because the series isn't about to change your opinion on them one way or another. Especially with volume 5, the final volume, the well, which in terms like five like final volume stuff. Well, on one hand, it involves like Tempest, just like wanting to protect her, what she's got together with Lou, like even as like her own family comes back to New York to settle the score after they think that their patriarch Joe, or sorry, Hiram is still alive. And it turns out he is. How do they know that? That's because handsome Lou told them that that he was. And Lou, as he is, he's haunted by ghosts. He's haunted by the ghost of his dead little sister. He's haunted by the ghost of Tempest's brother Enos, who was also a werewolf. He's haunted by the death of his former associate Fat Tony. He's also haunted by Stannis, the actual like torso killer of Cleveland. And as terms of like everything like coming together, well, this volume doesn't quite do that. It's like on one hand, it does involve Lou, like setting things up so that the hillbillies, like including Tempest's adopted brother Fry, like has a reason to come back and get and save his sister, like and his dad as well, but also with Lou trying to make things right with his old boss Joe as well. Even though at this point, like you think that everything he's done at this point would just like kind of send him like a bit upriver, but it hasn't. And so he's like trying to make things right. And even as like we get like like long like invested stories like Delia coming back to like maybe even help like Joe settle things, it doesn't quite work out that way. It's like this is a series that's basically all about excellent. It's a series that's all about the surface elements. It's all about like what's going on the top of things. Like volume 1 is about like bootleggers and werewolves. Volume 2 was about like the prison chain gang story. Volume 3 is about the like the approach of voodoo into this story. It's like volume 4 is about like Elliot Ness and like the how his like legendary torso hunt for the torso killer works in the story. And this one, sure, it's all about like Lou coming back to New York and trying to like make things work out between him and his old like mob buddies. But in the end, it's really just like, hey, it's mobsters versus werewolves versus mobsters versus like guilt and recrimination. And you know, is it good? I don't know. It's I think the series is basically more one for the converted for the anything else. It's like if you liked Azzarello and Risso's storytelling like over the years, then yeah, I think you gotta appreciate what they've got on display here. But if you're not if you're not familiar with it, if you're not on board with what they've done with like say Wonder Bullet specifically and its exquisite stylistic excess of the series that series displayed, then you're probably not gonna be all that impressed with what they've got here. It's Moonshine isn't a bad series, but it's definitely one for the converted. It's like if you're not on board with Azzarello and Risso's style, like prior to this series, and you're probably just gonna look at this and go, "Man, this is kind of like all right," or just mediocre, for lack of a better term. I don't know, John.
Yeah.
What do you think about all this?
I mean, interesting concept, but I don't know. I'll go with your recommendation on this. Yeah, that you said the converted. Well, maybe not for me per se. So.
This is fair.
Yep, absolutely. So, you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Well, I got some things in mind. So it's either going to be the Last Annihilation mini event at Marvel, or Raw Hero from Prison School author Akira Hiramoto. It's probably going to be the former rather than the latter, but either way, one of these things is going to be talked about next time.
All right. Well, that's great. And we'll catch you on next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later, everyone.
Bye.